Hello, this is Postdoc Chronicles, week number 15. And again, this is late in uploading because I've been busy and I was doing my laundry and stuff. But anyway, in the week number 15 of my postdoc, so most of the things that I did is again installing all the things that are required to the softwares that are required to do the analysis in phenomenology related to the projects that I'm doing. Okay, and most importantly, in this week, I was able to install Checkmate. Okay, this is another software very similar to Rivet. Okay, but Rivet, when I installed it first, it was actually a headache to install in Mac, right? So you have like a lot of hindrances and hurdles to pass through in order to be able to get it to working correctly. And so the nice thing about Checkmate is that in fact Jong said that Checkmate is even harder to install when you're using Mac. Okay, but the thing is, there's this another application known as Docker. So it's like a sort of lighter version of virtual machine. So if you have an image that's gonna run Checkmate, it's actually easier to run there. So Checkmate is very similar to Rivet. So the thing is, it checks. It's mostly catered to BSM, beyond the standard model physics, and basically, it checks parameters that are allowable in BSM based on the results or the data that we have from LHC. Okay, and in fact, if you look at like the tutorial page in Checkmate, which is very nice by the way, it says there that so in their logo you have like a two kings, and then one king is like lying down, which is the BSM, the beyond the standard model physics, and then another king standing up, which is LHC. Okay, so it says in their main page that the LHC checkmates the BSM because it's the one that dictates what is allowable, within the confines of BSM. But another way I'd like to think about it is like, it's a checkmate. It's like your mate, not mate like partners, like your mate in British, like your buddy, your friend. When you're trying to check, you have a model, you have a theory. So is this prediction allowable? Is this range of parameters good, or is it constrained by the BSM? So that's how it works. Okay, I'm still gonna use it, but mostly right now I'm using Rivet. Okay, to run stuff. I'm also studying that. Okay. But the nice thing that we were able to do is since Simon, Jong's PhD student, like I mentioned from Germany, since he will be only here until the 28th, 29th of August, we like he wanted to like tour around South Africa to have like some memories from Africa. So we actually went last Sunday. So it was actually we're actually going there on a Saturday, but the weather was bad, so we went there on a Sunday instead. Say it's called Soweto. So I at first I thought it was like I thought it was a what they call this an African word, but it actually means southwestern town or something. So it's Soweto. So it's like a what they call this a village where it houses the you can find there the house of the Nobel Peace Prize winner Nelson Mandela, as well as Desmond Tutu. Okay, and in fact, Jong mentioned that in that place in Soweto, you see this street where it contains the houses of two Nobel Prize winners. So it's a unique thing, like in a single street you have two Nobel Prize awardees from one street. Okay, so of course barring so of course like Simon countered, he said, "Oh, what about Marie Curie and Pierre Curie? Those are Nobel Prize. They in fact they live at the same house, or the Bragg father and son team. So I said, it's like these things are like a trivial example of living in the same place. But these guys, Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela, they're not related to each other, So it's a very nice coincidence that both of them would eventually get the Nobel Prize, and then they're living at the same street. Okay, so we went there again. Desmond Tutu's house, and then Nelson Mandela's house, and then inside we were actually able to go inside Nelson Mandela's house. It's now a museum, and it contains a lot of his like documents, his awards, his certificates, his medals, his memorabilia. In fact, there's like a what do you call this, laminated on the wall. I saw his handwriting from Nelson Mandela himself, so it was very good. And then from there we were able to like walk around the Soweto area, okay, and then we were able to ride like the sort of taxi in South Africa. And in fact, there's also a place, I didn't know this, but there was also a place in we were also able to go to a place in Johannesburg containing the statue of Gandhi. Okay, and the awesome thing is that when you hear Gandhi, you have this Indian guy who's like with glasses and bald head, and usually without a cloth or just clad with a few clothes. And in his statue, he still has hair, he still has clothes and so on. So it's because before he went to India and did his peaceful protest and stuff, he was actually in Johannesburg. Like I believe he did some law here, and he was a famous name in the early 1900s before he went to India. Okay, so that was very nice. And also we were able to go to this place with it's like an abandoned power plant with two huge towers. Okay, and you pay like a certain amount, and you climb it and then you jump. Of course I didn't do it, but here's a video clip of the surrounding area that I got. So watch this. So this is the tower that's cost 600 rands to jump. What do you think, Simon, about the tower? Is it worth it?
No.
So that's my supervisor right there, Jong. Is it worth it, the tower?
I think
All right. So I actually want to comment about that video. In the last part, Jong, which is my phenomenology supervisor, he just gave me the middle finger. So one of the awesome, the fascinating things that I noticed is that the relationship. I don't know if it's just with Jong, but if it's, I believe it's it's a usual thing, because like the way Jong and Simon, when I observe them, they just like make fun of each other. Like if Simon, like, he does his programming and like he does something wrong, or he does something in a way that Jong doesn't like it, they'll be like, it's because you're an idiot, you're a stupid PhD student. And then the Simon will be just like, no, you're a bad supervisor. And they do this in a playful way. So it's like uh at first, I found this very, what they call this, very weird, because like in the Philippines, we don't do something like that. There's like a, I don't know, like a barrier between a supervisor and a student. You just don't call your student stupid and so on. And in fact, the first time I noticed this is when I was first introduced to Deepak by Sir Ian Vega. So I still call him Sir. Is that when we first I was introduced to Deepak via email, I actually called him Sir first. Like, hi, Sir Deepak, my name is like Marvin Flores. And the first thing Deepak said to me is like, drop the sir, like don't call me sir. So it's like it's something that they're not used to here. Like, I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but in the Philippines, like if you are like if you have you're a teacher, you're teaching in a university, you have a student, it is expected of the student to call the teacher, the professor, sir. And it's a weird when you call each other like first name basis, and much weirder still if you like call each other idiots. But here it's like a common thing. Like you just call each other first name. And again, in the case of like Jong and Simon, and in fact with myself sometime, we just we make fun of each other. Okay, so it's like, I don't know, for me it kind of makes you're like studying something that is very hard. So sometimes it it kind of lightens the burden a bit when you have this jovial treatment with each other. So I'm not saying that like you can't have that openness when you call like your supervisor sir, but I mean yeah, it's something new to me, that's really I find it really fascinating, right? And so this coming weekend we're actually going to, so it's gonna be in my featured in my next Postdoc Chronicles, which I hope will be uploaded earlier than this one. But what they call this, we're gonna be going in this place. So I asked Jong if like, where are the where do you go in Johannesburg if you want to see like giraffe, because I haven't seen a giraffe yet, and he said so there's a zoo, but he advised us, me and Simon, that it would be better to like actually go to the place where they are living in their natural habitat, like in the safari and whatever. So in the wild, so this weekend we're going there. So it's like there's like this area where Jong said the elephants, the giraffe, the lion, the tiger, whatever, they just roam around, and I'm so excited to see this. I'm even more excited than this with this one than the Nelson Mandela thing, because yeah, I know that's interesting and fascinating. I'm more, I'm much more interested with like animals and the wild and stuff. Okay, so yeah, so I'm so excited to see that, and hopefully Jong said it's luck based, so it will be depending on when you're lucky or not when you drive through that area. So it depends on whether the lions or the giraffe feel like going out or something. So hopefully I can like capture some video clips and pictures of this giraffe and lion and stuff. So I was told that we'll just be like staying in the car and then looking at them roaming around in the wild from the inside. Okay, and so I'm so excited to see that. All right. Again, by the way, before I go, so Simon, so while he's staying here, he's actually like very paranoid with all the the things that you hear about Johannesburg and South Africa. There are some places that are very dangerous and a lot of like thieves and so on. And in fact, like when we went home from the Gandhi Tower, going back to like the University of Witwatersrand, when we were looking, when we were getting the over, it's like, oh, it's just 1 mile away. I think it's near. We can walk. So we actually walked there, and yeah, Simon was like, very scared that, but it was like, it was fine. It was like in the afternoon, like uh, during the day with lots of people. But Jong said that it's really not advisable, like to do that. First of all, when you're alone and when like it's in the dark, because it's really too true. There are people that have been mugged in those areas, have their like stuff stolen, their money stolen, and so on. So it's not advisable. And again, I don't have a problem with that, because typically I don't like going out like during the dark. I prefer staying in my room reading or playing video games or whatever. Okay, but yeah, that's it for my postdoc chronicles, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.